Captain Daehyun stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars. The UES Perseverance was a big ship, built for talking to aliens and keeping peace in space. Daehyun had been a captain for 10 years. He was good at his job and cared about his crew. The year was 2387. Humans had spread to many worlds across 17 star systems. They lived in peace with dozens of alien species. This peace came from something called the Galactic Harmony Accords. It was like a big agreement that said all species would be friends and help each other. "Captain, we're getting close to the meeting point," said Jin Woo from his station. Jin Woo was the communications officer. He was young but very smart with all the radio equipment and computers. Daehyun nodded. "Good. Yuna, are you ready for first contact?" Yuna looked up from her science station. She was the ship's xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life forms. She had long black hair and always wore her white lab coat. She loved meeting new species and learning about them. "I've been ready for weeks, Captain. All my equipment is working perfectly. The translation computers are updated with the latest language patterns from 17 different species." Seong-min, the tactical officer, checked his weapon systems. He was a serious man who always worried about keeping the ship safe. "Captain, should I power up the shields? We don't know anything about these new aliens." "No, Seong-min. We go in peaceful. That's how humans have always done first contact. We show them we're friends first." Down in the engine room, Heejin was making sure everything ran smoothly. She was the best engineer in the fleet. Her hands were always dirty from working on machines, but she could fix anything that broke on the ship. The Perseverance moved through space toward a small planet in the outer rim territories. This was far from Earth, far from most human colonies. It was a quiet place where few ships ever came. 3 days ago, they had received a strange message. It came from an unknown species calling themselves the Velthari. The message was beautiful, full of music and colors that somehow came through the radio. It said they wanted to meet humans and be friends. "There, Captain." Jinwoo pointed at his screen. "I'm picking up their ship." On the main screen, a strange ship appeared. It looked like it was made of light instead of metal. The ship seemed to shift and change colors as they watched. Sometimes it looked solid. Sometimes it looked like it was made of glowing gas. "That's incredible," Yuna whispered. "I've never seen technology like that. How does it hold together?" Before Daehyun could answer, Jinwoo's station started making musical sounds. "Captain, they're trying to talk to us. Put them on screen." The main screen changed. Instead of showing the strange ship, it now showed a being made of shifting light. The alien had no solid form. It looked like a person-shaped cloud of stars and energy. When it spoke, its voice was beautiful like singing. "Greetings, humans of the ship Perseverance. I am an ambassador of the Velthari. We have traveled far to meet your species." Daehyun stepped forward. "Welcome. I'm Captain Daehyun. We're honored to meet you." "The honor is ours, Captain. Your species has shown such wisdom in how you treat other life forms. We have watched from afar and admire your peaceful ways." Yuna moved closer to her instruments. The readings were strange. The alien seemed to be made of pure energy, but somehow it was stable and thinking. "We would like to invite you to visit our ship," the ambassador continued. "We have gifts to share. Technology that could help your people explore the stars in new ways." Seong-min frowned. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't say what. "Captain, maybe we should scan their ship first." "That won't be necessary," the Velthari said, somehow hearing him. "We understand your caution. It shows wisdom, but we mean no harm. We are explorers like you, seeking knowledge and friendship." The ambassador's form shifted and became brighter. "We can teach you to control energy as we do. Your ships could travel faster than light without engines. Your people could live longer, think clearer, experience reality in ways you never imagined." Yuna's eyes went wide. "Captain, if they're telling the truth, this could change everything for humanity." Daehyun thought carefully. First contact was always dangerous, but this seemed like a great opportunity. The Velthari appeared peaceful and offered amazing gifts. "We would be happy to visit your ship," he said finally. "Wonderful. We will prepare a welcome for you." The screen went dark. Jinwoo checked his instruments. They cut the connection, but their ship is still there. Over the next few hours, the two ships moved closer together. The Velthari ship was even stranger up close. It seemed to be made of something that wasn't quite solid and wasn't quite energy. Daehyun had seen many alien ships, but nothing like this. "Captain," Heejin's voice came over the speakers from the engine room. "I'm getting weird readings from their ship. It's like they're using some kind of power source I've never seen before." "What kind of readings?" "It's hard to explain. The energy patterns keep changing. Sometimes it looks like they're using fusion power. Sometimes it looks like they're pulling energy from empty space itself. Yuna was studying her own instruments. I'm detecting life signs, but they're unlike anything in our databases. It's like they exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. Seung-min was checking local space for other ships. His job was to make sure they were safe during the meeting. Captain, I'm seeing something strange. There are old ship signatures in this area. Lots of them. What do you mean? Ships have been here before. Many ships from many species. But I'm not detecting any of them now. It's like they all just disappeared. Dae-hyun felt a cold feeling in his stomach. How many ships? Dozens, sir. Maybe hundreds over the past few months. The signatures are from Zephyrians, Kaldari, even some human trade vessels. The captain looked at his crew. Yuna still seemed excited about the meeting. Jin-woo was working on his computers, trying to learn more about Velthari communication methods. Hee-jin was running diagnostics on all ship systems. Seung-min was watching the tactical display with worry on his face. Seung-min, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them about our meeting with the Velthari. Include all our sensor data. Yes, sir. But when Seung-min tried to send the message, something was wrong. Captain, our long-range communications are being blocked somehow. I can't get a signal past this star system. The Velthari ship moved closer. It was now right next to the Perseverance. Through the windows, they could see beings made of light moving around inside the alien vessel. Captain, Jin-woo said, they're asking us to come aboard now. They say their gifts can't wait. Dae-hyun looked at the beautiful, mysterious ship. Everything seemed peaceful, but his years of experience told him something was not right. The missing ships, the blocked communications, the way the aliens seemed too eager to meet them. Yuna, I want you to stay here and keep scanning their ship. Learn everything you can about their technology. But Captain, I should come with you for first contact. It's my job. Your job right now is to understand what we're dealing with. Seung-min, keep trying to contact Earth. If anything goes wrong, get us out of here. Understood, sir. Dae-hyun prepared to visit the Velthari ship, but he ordered Hee-jin to keep the Perseverance ready for a quick escape. Something was definitely wrong here, and he was starting to suspect that the beautiful aliens with their gifts of advanced technology might not be the friends they claimed to be. The transport beam from the Velthari ship surrounded him with warm light. As he disappeared from his own bridge, Dae-hyun had one last thought. He hoped his crew would be ready for whatever was about to happen. Captain Dae-hyun found himself standing in a room that hurt his eyes to look at. The walls seemed to be made of light that moved and changed colors. The floor felt solid under his feet, but when he looked down he could see through it to more rooms below. 3 Velthari surrounded him. Up close, they were even stranger than on the screen. They had no real shape, just energy that looked like people. When they moved, they left trails of light in the air. Welcome, Captain, one of them said. Its voice came from everywhere at once. We are so pleased you accepted our invitation. Thank you for having me, Dae-hyun said. He tried to stay calm, but something felt very wrong. The room was too bright and the air tasted strange. Come, let us show you our gifts. They led him through corridors that bent in impossible ways. Sometimes they walked on walls, sometimes on ceilings, but it always felt like they were walking normally. Dae-hyun's head started to hurt from trying to understand it. Meanwhile, back on the Perseverance, Yuna was working hard at her science station. Her instruments were picking up strange readings from the Velthari ship. This doesn't make sense, she said to herself. Their ship should be impossible. No known materials could hold together like that. Seung-min was still trying to contact Earth. Every time he sent a message, it seemed to disappear into nothing. Something is jamming our communications, he told Jin-woo. Maybe it's natural, Jin-woo said. Some stars create interference. Oh no, this is artificial. Someone doesn't want us talking to anyone. Ye-jin's voice came from the engine room. You need to see something down here now. Seung-min and Jin-woo went down to the engine room. Hai-jin was standing next to a computer showing a map of local space. Look at this, she said, pointing at the screen. I've been analyzing those old ship signatures Seung-min found. I know what happened to them. The map showed dozens of ship tracks leading to this area over the past 6 months. Ships from many different species had come here, but none of them had left. Where did they all go? Jin-woo asked. That's not the scary part, Hee-jin said. Look at this. She changed the display. Now it showed what the ships were carrying. Every single ship had full crews. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species. All of them just vanished. Seung-min felt ice in his stomach. Pirates? No signs of fighting. No debris, no distress signals. The ships just stopped. Back on the Velthari vessel, Daehyun was being shown around what the aliens called their collection chamber. The room was full of floating bubbles made of light. Inside each bubble, something moved. What are those? Daehyun asked. Memories, the Velthari ambassador said happily. Thoughts. Dreams. The most beautiful parts of consciousness preserved forever. Daehyun stepped closer to one of the bubbles. Inside, he saw images of a creature he didn't recognize. It looked scared. It was trying to speak, but no sound came out. These are from other species you've met. Oh yes, many species. We have been collecting for such a long time. Each mind is unique, like a snowflake or a song. Your human minds will be especially beautiful to add to our collection. The words hit Daehyun like a punch. Add to your collection? Of course. Why else would we invite you here? Human consciousness is so rich, so full of emotions and creativity. You think in ways we have never tasted before. Daehyun backed away from the bubbles, but more Velthari appeared behind him. You're not here to be friends. Friendship is such a limited concept, the ambassador said. We offer something much better, immortality. Your thoughts and memories will live forever in our collection. Is that not a greater gift than your short, limited lives? On the Perseverance, alarms started going off. Yuna looked at her instruments in horror. The Velthari ship is doing something to ours. It's like they're scanning our brains. Seung-min ran to his weapons station. Shields up! All power to weapons. But when he tried to activate the shields, nothing happened. They've taken control of our system somehow. Jinwoo was frantically working at his station. I'm picking up a transmission. It's not from the Velthari ship. It's from somewhere else. Put it through. A weak voice came through the speakers. It was hard to understand because of static. Warning, anyone? Receiving this. The Velthari are not what they seem. They harvest consciousness. They eat minds. Who is this? Yuna called out. Commander Dex of the Kaldari vessel. Brightwing, we came here 3 weeks ago. Most of my crew is gone. I'm hiding in the cargo bay. They take your mind, but leave your body alive. Don't let them touch you. The transmission cut off. Hyejin's voice came over the speakers. I'm detecting massive energy buildup in their ship. They're preparing to do something big. On the Velthari ship, Daehyun was surrounded by the energy beings. He could feel something pressing against his mind, like invisible hands trying to reach inside his skull. Don't fight it, Captain, the ambassador said. The process is much easier if you relax. We will take good care of your consciousness. Daehyun gritted his teeth and tried to resist. The pressure in his head got worse. He could feel his memories starting to slip away. His childhood on Earth, his training at the academy, the face of his wife. But then he remembered something. Before leaving his ship, he had activated a small device hidden in his uniform. It was an emergency beacon. If he was in danger, it would send a signal back to the Perseverance. He pressed the hidden button. On the Perseverance, Seung-min's tactical station lit up. Captain's in trouble. Emergency beacon activated. Can we transport him back? Yuna asked. They're blocking our transporters. But I have an idea. Seung-min's fingers flew over his controls. If I overload our main deflector, I can create an energy pulse that might disrupt their systems long enough for us to get him back. Do it, Hyejin said from the engine room. But hurry. Their energy readings are going off the scale. The Perseverance's main deflector glowed brightly and sent out a wave of energy. The Velthari ship flickered like a broken light bulb. Daehyun felt the pressure on his mind disappear. The Velthari around him became unstable, their light forms wavering. Now, Seung-min activated the emergency transport system. Daehyun appeared on the bridge in a flash of light. He fell to his knees, holding his head. Get us out of here, now. Working on it, Hyejin said. The ship's engines started up, but the Velthari ship moved to block their escape. More ships just like it appeared from nowhere. The aliens had been hiding, waiting. Captain, Yuna said, I'm detecting at least 12 Velthari vessels. They've got us surrounded. Daehyun struggled to his feet. His head still hurt from what the aliens had tried to do to him. Jinwoo, get me a channel to all ships. You're on, sir. Daehyun's voice was hard with anger. Attention, Velthari vessels. You lied to us. You're not explorers or friends. You're parasites. You feed on the minds of other species. The Velthari ambassador's voice came back, no longer beautiful and musical. Now it sounded cold and hungry. Your species shows such beautiful complexity and thought, Captain. Your emotions, your creativity, your capacity for both love and rage. It will sustain us for millennia. You picked the wrong species to hunt, did we? You are trapped here, far from help. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your shields cannot stop us. Soon all of humanity will join our collection. But the Velthari had made one mistake. Before they had jammed communications, Seung-min had managed to send one message. It was encoded in an old military format that looked like background radiation to most scanners. The message was simple. Velthari are hostile. Harvest consciousness. Warn Earth. Prepare for war. Somewhere far away, that message was racing toward Earth at faster than light speed. Soon humanity would know what they were really dealing with. Dae-hyun looked at his crew. They were scared but ready to fight. Everyone listen carefully. We may not survive this, but we're going to make sure Earth knows what's coming. These things have been hunting other species for who knows how long. Today they learn what happens when they try to hunt humans. 3 days after Seung-min's message reached Earth, every human military base in the galaxy received the same order. Prepare for total war. Admiral So-young stood in the command center on Luna Station, looking at screens full of information about the Velthari threat. She was a small woman with gray hair, but everyone in the room knew she was the toughest military commander humanity had ever produced. How many ships do we have? She asked her aide. Every vessel that can carry weapons, Admiral. Military ships, cargo haulers, even passenger liners. The civilian government has authorized full mobilization. So-young nodded. In her 50 years of military service, she had never seen humanity unite so quickly for war. The news about the Velthari had spread through all human colonies in hours. Every person understood what was at stake. On Mars, General Tae-ho was overseeing the construction of new weapons. Factories that had been making tools for farming were now making guns and missiles. Every human world was doing the same thing. Sir, one of his officers said, Dr. Yoon-soo wants to speak with you about her new project. Dr. Yoon-soo was the smartest physicist on Mars. She had been working non-stop since the Velthari threat was announced. When Tae-ho arrived at her laboratory, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. General, I think I've found a way to protect human minds from the Velthari, she said, showing him a small device that looked like a metal headband. How does it work? The Velthari use quantum energy to reach into people's minds. This device creates a quantum shield around the brain. I call it a cognitive protector. Tae-ho picked up the device. It was light and simple looking. Does it work? I've tested it on volunteers using similar energy patterns. Yes, it works. But General, that's not the best part. She led him to another table with different equipment. I've also figured out how to track them. The Velthari exist in multiple dimensions at once. With the right sensors, we can follow them anywhere they go. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, Kyung-min was meeting with representatives from other alien species. He was the head of the Colonial Intelligence Service, and his job was to gather information about humanity's enemies. The Velthari have been hunting us for generations, said Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Republic. He was a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. My people have lost entire worlds to them. Why didn't you warn us? Kyung-min asked. We tried to fight them before. They are too powerful. We learned to hide instead. Well, humans don't hide, Kyung-min said. We're going to destroy them completely. Will you help us? The Zephyrian looked surprised. You speak of destroying the Velthari as if it's possible. Everything can be destroyed if you hit it hard enough and often enough. Over the next week, more alien species joined the fight. The Kaldari brought their fast attack ships. The Hegemony offered their powerful shields. Species that had been hiding from the Velthari for centuries suddenly found hope. Captain Wu Jin commanded the assault carrier Righteous Anger, one of the new ships built specifically to fight the Velthari. It carried 1,000 fighters and had weapons designed by Dr. Yoon-soo's team. Captain, his tactical officer said, we're approaching the first Velthari harvesting station. Through the main screen, they could see a massive structure floating in space. It looked like a crystal palace made of light, but Wu Jin knew what it really was. Inside that beautiful structure, thousands of beings from dozens of species were having their minds slowly drained away. All fighters, launch. All weapons, target that station. Let's show these parasites what happens when they mess with the wrong species. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Human fighters swarmed around the Velthari station like angry bees. The alien ships tried to use their reality-bending weapons, but Dr. Yunsu's quantum shields protected the human vessels. The Velthari were confused. For thousands of years they had hunted species that ran away or died quietly. They had never faced an enemy that fought back with such fury and determination. "Sir," Wu Jin's communications officer said, "we're getting messages from inside the station. Survivors from many species. They're asking for help. Tell them help is coming." Boarding teams prepare for assault. Human marines wearing cognitive protectors and carrying quantum weapons cut through the Velthari station. They found chambers full of harvesting equipment and freed hundreds of beings whose minds had been partially drained. One of the rescued prisoners was Commander Dex of the Kaldari, vessel Brightwing. He was weak and could barely stand, but he was alive. "How long have you been here?" a human medic asked. "Weeks, months, hard to remember. They take pieces of your mind each day. I thought I would die here." "Not today," the medic said. "Today we fight back." The battle for the harvesting station lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Velthari structure was destroyed and its prisoners were free. But this was just the beginning. Admiral So Young stood before a gathering of human military leaders from across the galaxy. The meeting was happening on Earth, in the same room where the Galactic Harmony Accords had been signed. "The Velthari think they're hunting individuals," she said. "They don't understand that when you attack one human, you attack all humans. They've made humanity angry, and angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy." General Tejo activated a holographic map showing Velthari positions throughout known space. "We've identified 47 harvesting stations, 12 major vessels, and at least 6-dimensional gateways they use to travel." "What are your orders, Admiral?" asked Captain J1 of the battleship Terra's Revenge. "Simple. We destroy everything, every station, every ship, every gateway. We don't stop until every Velthari in this galaxy is dead or gone." Dr. Yunsu had been working on new weapons. "Admiral, I've developed something I call a reality disruptor. It can collapse the dimensional fields the Velthari use to exist. One hit from this weapon will destroy them completely. How many can you make?" "As many as you need. Every human world is helping with production." Kyungmin had news from his intelligence network. "Admiral, I've been talking to our new alien allies. They've given us information about Velthari weaknesses. It seems the parasites have a central breeding world somewhere outside our galaxy. Can we find it?" "With their help, yes. But it will be dangerous. The Velthari will defend it with everything they have." Admiral So Young looked around the room at the faces of humanity's military leaders. These men and women had spent their careers keeping peace in the galaxy. Now they were preparing for a war of extinction. 2 months ago we had never heard of the Velthari, she said. They thought they could harvest human consciousness like we were cattle. They thought wrong. She activated the holographic display showing the positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of ships were moving toward Velthari positions. "Today we begin the systematic destruction of a species that has terrorized the galaxy for millennia. We don't do this for conquest or glory. We do this so that no other species will ever have to fear the Velthari again." The room was quiet. Everyone understood the weight of what they were about to do. Humanity had always tried to solve problems peacefully, but some problems could only be solved with violence. The Velthari made a mistake, So Young continued. They thought humans were just another species to harvest. They didn't understand that humans don't just fight for themselves. We fight for everyone who can't fight back. Captain Wu Jin raised his hand. "Admiral, what do we do if they surrender?" So Young's face was hard as stone. "They don't get to surrender. They had their chance to be civilized when they first met us. They chose to be predators instead. Now they face the consequences. The war had begun and humanity had one goal: make sure the Velthari never hurt anyone ever again. The war had been going on for 8 months. Human fleets were winning battles across the galaxy, destroying Velthari harvesting stations and freeing thousands of prisoners from dozens of species. The parasites were starting to panic. In their home dimension, the Velthari High Council was meeting. These were the oldest and most powerful of their kind, beings of pure consciousness who had been feeding on other species for millions of years. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought," said the first harvester, a creature of swirling darkness and light. "They don't fight like other species. They don't run when they should. They don't surrender when they're beaten." "Perhaps we should retreat to another galaxy," suggested another council member. "No." The first harvester's voice shook the dimensional space around them. "We have spent centuries preparing this galaxy for harvest. Every species has been carefully cultivated. The humans are just one species among many. We will not abandon our work because of their temporary success. The third harvester, ancient even among the Velthari, spoke slowly. I have seen their military communications. They speak of hunting us to extinction, not defeat, extinction, empty threats. No species has ever possessed the power to truly harm us. But the third harvester was not convinced. These humans, they're different. I have consumed the consciousness of millions of beings. I understand how minds work. Most species fight for survival. Humans fight for something else. What? Justice. They believe we are evil and must be destroyed. This is not a war for territory or resources. This is a moral crusade. The first harvester dismissed this concern. Then we will show them the price of defying us. Prepare the reality scrapers. Reality scrapers were the Velthari's most terrible weapon. They could delete entire star systems from existence, removing them so completely that they had never been. The Velthari had used them only twice before in their long history, and both times the targeted species had immediately surrendered. Commander Nara was the head of Kepler Station in the Kepler 442 system. It was a beautiful system with 3 habitable worlds and over 1 billion human colonists. The system also hosted the Arethi, a peaceful species of artists, and the Kolvar, who were master engineers. Nara was a veteran of the HFY War. She had fought in 6 battles and helped destroy 2 harvesting stations. Today was supposed to be a day of rest and resupply for her fleet. Commander, her communications officer said, we're detecting massive energy readings at the edge of the system. Something big is coming. Nara looked at the tactical display. 3 enormous Velthari vessels were approaching, each one bigger than any they had seen before. These ships didn't look like the usual light and energy constructs. They were dark, solid, and gave off readings that hurt to look at. Sound General alert. Get Admiral So Young on the line. But before her officer could send the message, space around the system began to change. Reality started to bend and twist. The stars themselves looked wrong. Commander, her science officer shouted. They're using some kind of weapon we've never seen before. It's affecting the fabric of space-time itself. Nara understood immediately. The Velthari weren't trying to invade or harvest the system. They were going to delete it entirely. Emergency broadcast to all ships and stations, she ordered. Evacuate immediately. All vessels, maximum speed, get out of the system now. But it was too late. The reality scrapers were already working. Space began to unravel around them. Ships trying to escape found that the space they were flying through no longer existed. Nara activated her personal log. If she was going to die, she wanted humanity to know what happened. This is Commander Nara of Kepler Station. The Velthari are using a new weapon that deletes reality itself. They're erasing our entire system. 1 billion humans, 3 million Arethi, and 2 million Kolvar are about to die not from explosions or energy weapons, but from having never existed at all. Around her, the station began to fade. Her crew members were disappearing one by one, not dying but simply ceasing to be. If anyone receives this message, remember us. Remember what they did here. The Velthari think this will make humanity surrender. They're wrong. This will only make us angrier. The transmission cut off as Commander Nara and everything else in the Kepler 4I42 system stopped existing. But the message had been sent just in time. It reached Admiral So Young on Luna Station, just as long-range sensors confirmed what had happened. An entire star system, with over 1 billion souls, had been deleted from reality. The Admiral stood in her command center, looking at the empty space where Kepler 442 used to be. Her staff was quiet. Many of them were crying. Ma'am, her aide said quietly, the Velthari are broadcasting a message to all human worlds. Put it through. The first harvester's voice filled the command center. Humans of the galaxy, you have seen what happens to those who defy us. The Kepler 442 system and all who lived there no longer exist. They never existed. We can do this to any of your worlds, any of your colonies. Surrender now and we will harvest you quickly and painlessly. Continue to fight and we will erase every trace of your species from reality itself. The message ended. The command center was silent for a long moment. Then Admiral So Young spoke and her voice was colder than space itself. Send a message to every human fleet, every colony, every ship in the galaxy. Tell them what happened to Kepler 442. Tell them the Velthari just killed over 1 billion innocent people, including children and babies." "Yes, ma'am." "What are your orders?" "Total species warfare." Within hours, humanity's response was clear. Dr. J. Wan, the lead scientist on the quantum warfare project, announced a breakthrough. "Admiral, I figured out how to track the Velthari to their home dimension. We can follow them anywhere in the universe now." Admiral Chang Ho, commander of the new reality-piercing fleet, reported that his ships were ready. "We have 40 vessels equipped with dimensional breach weapons. We can punch holes in reality itself and follow the Velthari wherever they try to hide." General Tejo had converted every human military academy into a training ground for what they now called extinction warfare. "Admiral, we're training soldiers not just to fight the Velthari, but to hunt them, every last one of them." But the most important development came from Colonel He Young, a military theorist who had studied the Velthari for months. She had developed what would become known throughout the galaxy as the doctrine of total species warfare. "Admiral," she explained, "traditional warfare has rules. You fight until the enemy surrenders or retreats, but the Velthari have shown they will never stop hunting and killing other species. Therefore, we must eliminate their entire species completely." "You're talking about genocide, Colonel." "No, ma'am. Genocide is the killing of innocent people because of their race or culture. This is pest control. The Velthari are parasites who exist only to consume other intelligent life. Removing them from existence is not murder. It's sanitation." So Young looked at the tactical displays showing Velthari positions throughout the galaxy and beyond. There were thousands of them spread across multiple dimensions and realities. "How do we kill them all?" "We hunt them systematically. We use their own dimensional technology against them. We follow them into every reality they try to hide in. We don't stop until every single Velthari in existence is dead." The plan that emerged was terrifying in its scope. Human fleets would attack every known Velthari position simultaneously. Reality-piercing ships would invade their home dimension. Quantum weapons would collapse the dimensional fields they needed to exist. But most importantly, humanity would not stop. Ever. Even if it took 1,000 years, even if it cost humanity everything they had, they would hunt down every last Velthari in existence. "The Velthari think they can threaten us into submission," Admiral So Young said in her broadcast to the galaxy. "They think that by killing 1 billion innocent people they can make us afraid. They're wrong. They've just taught humanity that some species don't deserve to exist." The war entered its final phase. Humanity had learned what happens when you push them too far. The Velthari were about to learn what happens when humans decide that you need to die. 3 years had passed since the war began. The galaxy was quiet now, but it was a different kind of quiet than before. It was the silence that comes after a storm. When everything dangerous has been swept away, Admiral Dae-hyun, promoted after his survival of the first Velthari encounter, stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the UES Remembrance. He was older now, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. The war had changed him as it had changed all of humanity. "Final report, Admiral," his aide said, handing him a data pad. "The last Velthari stronghold has been destroyed. Total enemy casualties, complete species extinction." Dae-hyun read the report carefully. In 3 years, humanity had hunted down and eliminated every single Velthari in known reality. They had followed them into 17 different dimensions, destroyed their homeworlds, and collapsed the quantum fields that allowed them to exist. The numbers were staggering. The humans had built over 10,000 warships specifically for hunting Velthari. They had developed weapons that could kill beings made of pure energy. They had created tracking systems that could follow their enemies through time and space itself. And they had never stopped. Not once. "Any survivors?" Dae-hyun asked. "None, sir. Dr. Yunsu's team has confirmed that the quantum signatures associated with Velthari consciousness no longer exist anywhere in our dimensional cluster." Dae-hyun nodded. The scientist who had created the first cognitive protectors had spent the war developing better and better ways to track and kill the consciousness parasites. Her final invention had been a weapon that could detect even a single Velthari, hiding in the space between dimensions. On Earth, President Min-ho was preparing to address the Galactic Assembly. Representatives from hundreds of species had gathered to hear humanity's statement about the war's end. Min-ho was a quiet man who had never wanted to be a war leader. But the Velthari had forced humanity to become something it had never been before, a species that could eliminate another species completely. Fellow beings of the galaxy, he began. 3 years ago, humanity learned of a threat that had been hunting our galaxy for millions of years. The Velthari were parasites who fed on consciousness itself. They saw intelligent life not as equals to befriend but as cattle to harvest. The assembly was silent. Everyone knew what had happened, but hearing it spoken aloud was still shocking. We did not seek this war. We offered the Velthari friendship, as we have offered friendship to all species. They responded by trying to drain our minds and add our consciousness to their collection. When we resisted, they escalated to weapons that could erase entire star systems from existence. Minho's voice grew harder. They killed over 1 billion innocent people in the Kepler 442 system. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong except exist in the same galaxy as parasites who saw them as food. He paused, looking out at the representatives from species that had been victims of Velthari harvesting for generations. Today I can announce that the Velthari threat is ended. Not defeated. Not driven away. Ended. Every single member of their species has been eliminated from existence. They will never harvest another mind. They will never terrorize another world. They will never kill another child. The reaction from the assembly was mixed. Some species cheered, grateful to be free of their ancient predators. Others looked afraid, realizing what humanity was capable of when truly angered. We did not enjoy this war, Minho continued. We took no pleasure in the destruction we caused. But we will never allow another species to treat intelligent life as something to be consumed. This is our promise and our threat. On the former Velthari homeworld, now a memorial garden, Yuna was overseeing the final phase of what humans called the Great Cleansing. Every piece of Velthari technology had to be found and destroyed or converted to peaceful purposes. Yuna was no longer the excited young scientist who had wanted to study alien life. The war had shown her what some alien life was capable of. Now she led teams that made sure the Velthari's harvesting technology could never be used again. Dr. Yuna, her assistant said, "We've found the last storage facility. It contains the preserved consciousness of beings from over 3,000 species." Yuna looked at the facility. It was a massive crystal structure filled with glowing bubbles. Inside each bubble was a mind that had been torn from its body and preserved for the Velthari to consume slowly. Can we restore them to their bodies? Some of them. Many species have been extinct for so long that we don't even know what they looked like, but we can free their consciousness and let them rest in peace. It took months to free all the trapped minds. Some were successfully returned to bodies that had been kept alive in the Velthari feeding chambers. Others from species long extinct were given peaceful deaths after thousands of years of imprisonment. The work was heartbreaking, but necessary. Yuna and her teams made sure that every victim of the Velthari was given dignity in death if they could not be given life. Meanwhile, throughout the galaxy, something strange was happening. People were starting to forget the name Velthari. It began with children. Young beings from many species would hear stories about the war against the consciousness parasites or the mind eaters. But when adults tried to say the specific name of humanity's enemy, the word wouldn't come. Dr. J1, now studying the phenomenon, had a theory. "Admiral, I think the complete destruction of the Velthari has caused a kind of quantum echo. Their name was tied to their existence in very deep ways. When we eliminated them so completely, we may have erased the name itself from reality." Admiral So Young, now an old woman, found this oddly satisfying. Good. Some things shouldn't be remembered. In schools throughout human space, children learned about the war, but in a strange way. Teachers would talk about the enemy or the parasites, but they couldn't quite remember what they had been called. Haya Jin, now a grandmother, was teaching her granddaughter Jiwan about the war. They sat in Heejin's garden on Mars looking up at the stars. "Grandmother, what were the bad aliens called?" Jiwan asked. Heejin paused. She had fought in the war, had helped design the ships that hunted their enemies through multiple dimensions, but when she tried to remember their name, it slipped away like water. "You know, dear, I can't quite remember. Some names are meant to be forgotten." "Why?" "Because when you destroy something completely enough, even the memory of it disappears. That's how you know you've really won." Jiwan thought about this. Is that good or bad? For these particular enemies, it's good. They were so evil that even their name was poison. By forgetting their name, we make sure they can never come back. Not even in our nightmares. In the deep archives of Earth, In files sealed so tightly that they required authorization from 3 different admirals to open, the complete record of the war was preserved. Every battle, every weapon, every technique humanity had used to eliminate their enemies was carefully documented. The files still contained the name that was fading from galactic memory. Someone had to remember, just in case another species like them ever appeared. But those files would only be opened if the galaxy faced a similar threat. Admiral Daehyun, now retired, lived on a quiet world at the edge of human space. He spent his days writing memoirs that he would never publish. In them, he wrote about the species humanity had destroyed, using the name that fewer and fewer people could remember. He wrote, "We did not become killers because we wanted to. We became killers because someone had to stop the killers. The galaxy is peaceful now because humanity chose to carry the burden of necessary violence." One day, a young reporter came to interview him about the war. "Admiral, what was it like fighting the reporter struggled to find the word. "I know what you're trying to ask," Daehyun said. "And I can't really remember their name either anymore. But I remember what they did. I remember the billion people who died in Kepler 442. I remember the thousands of species they had enslaved and consumed. Do you think humanity did the right thing?" Daehyun looked out his window at children from a dozen different species playing together in his garden. Human children, Zephyrian children, Kaldari children, all safe and free. "Yes," he said finally. "Some species deserve to be forgotten completely. The galaxy sleeps peacefully now because humanity made sure the monsters under the bed can never come back." The reporter left, and Daehyun returned to his writing. He was one of the last people in the galaxy who could still remember the name of humanity's greatest enemy, but even he found it harder and harder to say it aloud. Perhaps that was for the best. Some victories were so complete that even the name of the defeated enemy should disappear. In the end, humanity had given the galaxy the greatest gift possible, a silence so complete that evil itself was forgotten. The species that had made humans angry was gone so thoroughly that no one could remember their name, and the galaxy was better for it.